Welcome to this explainer. Okay, let's dive right into what is honestly a super fascinating topic. Now, if you spent any time scrolling the internet lately, you've almost certainly seen videos of sugar gliders. You know the ones. They're usually portrayed as these ultimate adorable pocket pets that are tiny, wide-eyed, and just irresistibly cute. But here's the thing. There's a massive, massive gap between a 30-second viral clip and the daily reality of caring for one of these incredibly complex animals. So today, we're going to pivot away from all that internet fame. We are looking strictly at the facts to uncover the real story behind the biology and the care of the sugar glider. To really understand them, I think we should actually start with their scientific name. The Latin name for the sugar glider is Pitoris breviceps, and when you translate that, it literally means short-headed rope dancer. How cool is that? That whimsical little translation perfectly captures their whole vibe. It immediately hints at their unbelievable agility, their delicate nature, and this life they spend basically performing acrobatics high up in the trees. So right off the bat, we know they aren't just cute. They are highly specialized biological marvels. Here is our roadmap for today's explainer. 1. Meet the rope dancer. 2. Anatomy of a glider. 3. The social imperative. 4. A highly specialized diet. And finally 5. Health and housing realities. Let's kick things off with Section 1. Meet the rope dancer. Origins and wild habitat. So where do they actually come from? Sugar gliders are native to the really lush environments of Eastern Australia, Papua New Guinea, Tasmania, surrounding islands, and parts of Indonesia. These guys are creatures of the rainforest canopies. Out in their natural habitat, they nest deep inside tree hollows. In fact, they are so perfectly adapted to living up in the trees that they rarely, if ever, actually touch the ground. Just imagine that for a second, living your entire life exclusively high above the forest floor. Moving right along to Section 2, Anatomy of a glider. Tiny size, massive stats. It is honestly striking just how tiny they are when you look at the numbers. A sugar glider's main body is only about 5 to 6 inches long, but check out that tail length. It adds a whole other 6 inches. So their tail is literally as long as their entire body. And it's not just for show, it serves a really critical purpose, acting like a built-in aerial rudder while they're gliding. As for weight, they weigh a mere 4 to 5.5 ounces. To put that into perspective, 80 to 160 grams is roughly the weight of a standard deck of cards. But their reproduction is where things get completely wild. A baby sugar glider spends 60 to 70 days growing inside its mother's pouch. Yep, sugar gliders are marsupials. Just like a kangaroo or an opossum, their babies are born very, very immature. They have to safely develop on the mother's abdomen for over 2 months before they're even close to being ready to face the world. Now, imagine taking a leap of 150 feet through the air in a single bound. That's what these little guys do. They pull this off using something called a pterygium. This is this furry, thin, really stretchy membrane that runs all the way from their wrists right down to their ankles. So when they jump, they spread their limbs out, stretch that membrane tight, and it lets them glide up to 150 feet from tree to tree in the wild. Remember, they aren't actually flying. They're just expertly gliding. Okay, now it's time for a pretty critical reality check. 12 to 15. That is their lifespan in years when they're kept in captivity. So the big takeaway here is that despite being this tiny 5-ounce creature, bringing a sugar glider into your home is a huge long-term commitment. They are not some fleeting phase or a starter pet. This is an animal that's going to be with you for well over a decade. To survive all those years out in the wild, their anatomy is incredibly specialized. You know those characteristically huge eyes? They aren't just there to look cute. They are absolutely essential for nocturnal hunting, and they help the glider visually triangulate their launch and landing spots in pitch darkness. Their feet are just as amazing. They've got this large, opposable big toe on their hind feet for gripping branches super tight. And get this, their second and third toes are actually fused together to form a built-in grooming comb. Add in various scent glands, some very sharp teeth, and extremely soft fur, and you've got one complex little survivor. Section 3. The social imperative. Why 1 is the loneliest number. This brings us right to one of the most common misconceptions out there. People are always asking, hey, can I keep just one sugar glider? And look, it's a totally fair question if you're used to keeping, say, a single hamster or a dog. But with these particular creatures, the answer carries some really heavy consequences. Keeping a solitary glider is a recipe for disaster. It is essentially putting them in solitary confinement, and it directly causes severe behavioral, mental, emotional, and even physical problems. Out in the wild, they communicate in their own complex language, living in these bustling, active colonies of up to 30 individuals. So as an owner, no matter how much attention you lavish on them, humans simply cannot replicate that natural socialization. We can't do their specific vocalizations or their mutual grooming. Because of that, multiple gliders absolutely must be kept together. For a rope dancer, one is truly the loneliest number. Section 4. A highly specialized diet, feeding an omnivore. In the wild, sugar gliders are foraging for a wide variety of foods depending on the season. In captivity, experts in zoos actually recommend a very specific, multi-step approach. Step 1 is establishing a base of high-quality, pre-packaged insectivore pellets. This is totally vital for their well-rounded nutrition and to keep their teeth healthy. Step 2, that involves adding fresh produce and fruits into the mix. And finally, step 3 is supplementing all of that with actual insects, baby food, honey, and specific vitamins. You can see this is way more complex than just pouring some kibble into a bowl for a cat. And as we learn more about them, our understanding of this intricate diet just keeps evolving. Which leads us to our final section, Section 5, Health and Housing Realities, bringing the rainforest to your living room. When their complex needs aren't met, exotic veterinarians see some very specific, really serious medical ailments. For instance, poor nutrition directly leads to a devastating condition known as metabolic bone disease. On the flip side, if you feed them too much fruit, it can cause severe diarrhea. And because of their hyperactive nature, they're super prone to gliding injuries or getting stuck if their enclosure isn't set up right. Plus, they're susceptible to dental disease and parasites. Their health is just incredibly delicate, and it is directly tied to how meticulously an owner follows their care requirements. So, to keep them safe and healthy, their housing has to be nothing short of spectacular. Because they need room to glide, you absolutely cannot keep them in a standard small pet cage. They require a spacious flight cage that's completely enriched with branches, sleeping pouches, and lots of toys to keep their highly active minds engaged. On top of that, because of their tiny size and their extreme sensitivity to stress, this enclosure has to be kept strictly separate from any other household pets, like dogs or cats, to prevent injury or severe anxiety. You are essentially taking on the job of building a safe, enclosed mini rainforest right inside your house. And that leaves us with this final, incredibly crucial question. First off, are sugar gliders even legal to own in your specific region? Because in a lot of places, local authorities strictly prohibit exotic pets like these. You absolutely have to do your research first. And secondly, if they are legal, are you truly ready for the commitment? Can you provide that massive enclosure, the complex diet, the specialized exotic vet care, and the required companionship for the next 12 to 15 years? These animals are absolutely magnificent, for sure, but they are incredibly demanding. It really makes you think carefully about whether your living room is truly the right stage for the short-headed rope dancer.